Dreams, these dreams of ours that take us into other worlds and other dimension, our dreams leading us on paths that reveal secrets and help us find our way, dreams where we journey into other worlds with the ancestors, dreams of healing, dreams of hope, dreams that make us face our greatest fears, dreams of revelation. I am Georgine Machulis, and I would like to share with you, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity, a collection of dreams that surround the life of my daughter Jessica. Jessica was killed in 1993. She was killed instantly in a car accident. Before she died, she told her friend Lauren that she would like to give her mother the biggest dream catcher in the world, and she didn't get to fulfill her desire. But a little while after she crossed over, I received a telephone call from our friend Deborah. It seems Deborah had inherited the world's largest dream catcher, and it was being shipped from Canada. And our friend happened to be there as she was unwrapping this gigantic dream catcher. And Deborah's wondering, where am I going to put this? What am I going to do with it? And our friend said, well, why don't you give it to Cliff and to Georgine? And we received that dream catcher, and we decorated it and adorned it with crystals and mementos and treasures. And in ceremony, we hung that dream catcher high up into two beautiful old pine trees. I believe Jessie got to fulfill her wish, and I believe that I got to receive that dream catcher from the world of spirit. In collecting and recording and illustrating the dreams you're about to see, there was a path that was created for us, a path of healing, a path of courage, a path of hope, and a path of grace. Thank you, and blessed be. Our daughter Jessie lived 17 years with us when she suddenly left the spinning blue planet. During the weeks preceding her death, her hands and fingers were so busy weaving dream catchers. She wove dream catchers in the Native American belief they help to capture dreams that connect her to her dear ones, her ancestors in the world of spirit. She gave those dream catchers as parting gifts to family and to friends. Shortly after her death, I was invited with a group of Jessie's grieving school friends for an island retreat to help heal our grief. We all sat in a circle on the floor of our beach house. I'm teaching them to weave dream catchers in Jessie's tradition. Sitting directly across from me is Christy. I look up at her. She's wearing a necklace made from an ancient arrowhead. I ask, Christy, where did you get that necklace? And she replied, my mother gave it to me for my protection. My first thought, oh no, I did not give my daughter an amulet for her protection, and she was killed. That night was restless, sleepless, grief and guilt-filled. And just before dawn, I left the house to walk along the shores of the barrier island. Every step was heavy with sadness, and that first silver light was beginning to appear in the east when a singular wave washed an object ashore right at my feet. I looked down to find an arrowhead resting in the sand. I believe the 12,000-year-old arrowhead is a gift from other worlds, from the ancestors, from my daughter. Here, Georgine, here is an amulet for your protection. I believe Jessie wove those dream catchers for a reason, and I have been trying to capture those dreams now for many years. A few days before Jessie would celebrate her October 28th birthday, I telephoned her cousin Maia asking her to drive up from South Florida to celebrate with us. Maia told me she would not be attending the celebration because she was afraid to drive. She had a premonition she was going to have an accident. Now, where did Maia's premonition originate? How did that thought come into her mind? I do not know, but she was right on. That fated accident occurred a week later. In 1989, Clifford, Jesse's grandfather, at age 80, underwent 12 hours of surgery. Upon awakening in the hospital recovery room, he recounted this vision to his wife, Edwina. Something terrible has happened to Jesse. There's been an accident. I saw Jesse and Maia together in a car. There was a horrible crash. Jesse was killed. Where was this place Jesse's grandfather traveled to receive that vision? Jessie, dressed in a purple gown, snakes coiled in her hair, visited her friend Steve on Halloween. When she came through the door, he thought, I'll never see her again. Well, he was wrong. He did see her again in the hospital morgue and in his dreams. In the spring of 1992, I was driving home along our darkened and beautiful Canopy Road when I encountered an overturned car engulfed in flames. The car rested off the road a ways amongst the giant oak trees. I ran towards the flame to help, but the car was empty. Its sole passenger, 17-year-old Wendy, had been thrown from the car and was lying on the side of the road. I held Wendy in my arms as she drew her last breath. The moment the life left her young body, I witnessed a flash of white light leave her. Light, bright, shooting upwards, fast, winged flying, up into the heavens, the stars. I kept that girl wrapped in my arms until the ambulance and police arrived. I sat silent and stunned until the young paramedic, first on the scene, sat down beside me and gently touched my shoulder. He asked, "Is she your daughter?" I replied, "No, but she is someone's daughter." Months after the accident, my thoughts were haunted by the question, why did I witness that young woman's death? Was it to prepare me? In my mind, I saw that flash of white light rise up into the heavens again and again. My awareness and my consciousness was confronted with something out of this world. Our family is on holiday in the Florida Keys. We are staying in a tall white building on the top floor overlooking the ocean. Jesse and I want to swim. All morning we try on successfully to get to that clear turquoise water and cannot. There is sharp coral between us and the sea. In the afternoon, we find another beach and swim together. And as we leave the water, Jessie reaches out to hold my hand. And as she does, I think, goodness, this girl is 17 and she's still holding my hand. And just then I heard the voice of the angels say, "You've only got this moment." And late afternoon, we sit at a round table drinking red wine on the balcony. The shining sea is far below us, and Jessie stands up to face us, her back against the curved balcony and the fiery setting sun in the west. Behind her, a magnificent sky, brilliant orange, red, scarlet, rose, deep purples and blues. The end of the day, moving west in the direction of enlightenment, the realm of the great goddess. I look up at my daughter. She is so very beautiful standing against the colors of the setting sun. And I watch, amazed, as her physical body begins to dissolve, transcend this earthly flesh, parts of her becoming the sky, absorbing, becoming one with the colors in the air. And she died suddenly the next day. After Jessie crossed over, she appeared in my every dream. Sometimes I would be in her world. I would awaken from these dreams feeling so good, feeling like I had really and truly been with her in her world. In this dream, I'm so very happy. I'm walking with Jessie in her world. Love and light fills the air. All is warm and welcoming. We walk together, Jessie, a young, round, brown woman named Joy, and I. We are walking on a light-filled path of happiness. Blue sky, tropical trees, fruits and flowers, exquisite beauty and peace fill this place and our hearts. I believe I was in paradise with my daughter. I dream Rosie came in the kitchen where I was washing dishes. She asked if I would call Jessie, and then I went outside to be near her. I saw her out the window, and Cliff and Jessie and I sat on a blanket in the green grass. I was so happy to be with her. She was so beautiful. We held and touched one another. It felt so good, and I knew we had found that time to be together again. This is Gita's dream. All our friends were together, and Jessie came through the door, and we all said, "You're alive! You're alive!" Gita asked, "Do you know how many people think you are dead?" Jess replied, "Yes, I know, but Cliff believed I was alive all the time." Everyone hugged and cried. Jessie's brother, Chad, dreams Jess walked through the door where he was working. She's wearing a purple shirt and jeans, and she asked, "What's up?" And they talked for a while, and then she left. Aya was a young exchange student from Japan. She had been living with us for a year. These are Aya's dreams. Jessie came into my dream. She said, "Keep in touch." I said, "I will." Jessie said, "Don't forget about me." I told her, "I can't." Dream number 2, Jessie came to me. She was mean to me. I asked her, "Why are you so mean?" She said, "Because I got to go." And then she gave me a candle and said, "Liven up yourself." I woke up, ate an apple, and cried and cried and cried. This is Cliff's dream. Georgine and I were out, decided to check in at home. I was concerned for Jessie's safety. When we arrived at home, we heard the sounds of young people, teenagers, coming from one of the rooms in the house. Our house was very large with many rooms and staircases. The young people were all in one room. Jessie and another girl were asleep in the loft. I couldn't really see her, but I knew she was all right and that she was there. But I was startled that you were alive, and then I thought, well, of course she's alive. Georgine and I left that house through many stairways, and outside a choir of black men greeted us singing, "O come, all ye faithful." This is Greg's dream. He sees Jessie holding Cliff's hand. Cliff's dream. I meet Jessie in the early morning. We hug and hug. I tell her, "It's pretty sad around here." She shrugs her shoulders and tells me, "There is no sadness where we are." Judith's dream. I dream Georgine is sobbing, 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 so sad. I feel a light wind and see Jessie's soft face. I watch as she pats her mom on the head and gives her a squeaky kiss. Julie's dream. We are in a place, Jessie and I. It's not heaven and it is not earth. It's an in-between place. Lots of people milling around. Jessie tells me, "See, some people in here are dead, some aren't." I cannot tell who is dead and who is alive, but Jessie knows and shows me those who have died. And then she points to herself and says, "See, I am dead. I will visit you in dreams. This is where the living and the dead meet, and I live in each of you." This is Bridget's dream. About 2 nights after I learned of Jessie's death, I had a dream. I was at the mailbox. It was early morning. The sky was gray, that kind of foggy gray that happens when it's light, but you can't see the sun yet. I looked up and saw Jessie. She was skipping and holding hands with Cliff and Georgine. Her dog Q was running in front, behind a big crowd of people, including Jessie's friends and a bunch of people I didn't know. Everyone was holding hands and laughing. Jessie came over to talk to me. Everyone followed. I said, "But Jessie, you're dead." She looked straight into my eyes and said, "You see me here now, don't you?" And at that moment, the dream seemed so real. I will never forget it. Jessie has been dead for 1 month. I see Jessie, her mother, grandmother, and cousin Maia walking, moving together like walking on a cloud across the wetlands. I call out to them, "Hello, nature walking goddess women." I dream we are in a wonderful place, surrounded by exquisite, exotic ancient art. A new fountain has just been unveiled. Water, pure blue, healing waters flow from the sculpture of a young woman. She holds the world. Sparkling water cascades from her hair, singing, healing, flowing across the land. I am with 2 men. I ask them to lie down. We lie on the sweet earth to look up at the sky. The clouds are rolling, fast moving, and I point my finger upwards and with intent create a circle in the sky. The circle opens into another dimension of space and of time. What exists beyond that opening in the sky? Do our dreams guide us as we travel through time, through other dimensions, other worlds? Are they our vehicle for travel? Where is Jessie now? Does she or some light-filled part of her exist somehow, somewhere, outside of our dreams, in those other dimensions, other worlds? Daniel, a young boy, dreamed. I dreamed Jessie was riding a black horse all around me, and her voice carried sounds of happiness in the wind. This is Layla's dream. The night my horse Beauty died, I was so sad until I saw Jessie riding her in my dream. Jessie Thale could ride like the wind. Cliff and I inherited her 2 horses, Bliss and Miracle, and we spent many happy days riding them. Keach dreamed she was walking with her brother in a purple place, a place she did not recognize. Jessie appeared, horse at her side. She looked long at them and spoke these words, "This is paradise." Susie was one of Jessie's best friends and riding partners. Susie died in an automobile accident exactly 1 year prior to Jessie. After Susie's death, Jessie became very close to her parents. This is Susie's older sister, Becky's dream. Jessie came to me in a dream. We were together again in a stable with lots of horses and animals. She asked how my parents were doing, and I said, okay. She said she really wanted to contact Cliff and Georgine, but was afraid she might upset them because it was so soon after her leaving. And then she went her merry way, fearlessly riding a white horse, her long blonde hair flowing through the wind. Susan's dream. We are all joining with you, floating down a river of tears, crying, wailing, deep in sadness as we gently floated with the river. A horse was flowing in the river with us, and there was sadness all around. Elaine's dream. Jess tells me, "You cry too much about me," and then she hops on her horse and rides off alone. I dream I am in an old field at the edge of the ocean. It's an ancient native ceremonial site. The elder women are chanting, planting, scattering seeds from generation to generation, singing chants from the ancestors. It's a fine day, bright and holy. I lie down in a furrow below the freshly tilled earth, covered by the warm, fertile earth. I am filled with comfort and strength. Are the women planting seeds of rebirth, seeds of hope, renewal? I hear their chants still, deep peace. Jessie recorded this dream November 12th, 1991. My dolphin family, I feel scummy, slimy, scorched by blazing sun, unprotected by the dissolving ozone layer. We are in a place where the water has become polluted. We must all work together up speed in order to prepare for the jump, the mighty jump that will take us into the clean, fresh, deep ocean sea. Our jump from the dark, unclean waters into the sparkling, clear, moving sea was magnificent. It is a wonderful sensation. Now, this is not a dream, and this is my experience. I'm swimming off the coast of a barrier island in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm alone and far out from shore. The sea is a calm blue-green, and I feel a sudden bump to my shoulder. Fear strikes all through my body. And from that calm green sea rises a shining dolphin, her face only inches from mine. She looks me straight in the eye. She looks long and hard and deep, and then in a flash she's gone. The look she gave me brought forth tears, tears that mingled with the salty sea as I swam slowly back to shore. 4 days later, I receive a letter from dear friend Anna. She writes, "Georgine, your daughter is indeed unfettered and free. I saw her in a dream last night, happily swimming with a school of dolphins." Jimbo's dream. Our nephew Jimbo carried a small box of Jesse's ashes as he hiked sub-zero weather to the top of a secluded mountain in the Yunnan province of northwestern China. When he reached the peak, he offered prayers as he scattered Jesse's ashes. That night he dreamed he was walking up ancient steps into an old stone building at the university where he was teaching. He notices standing amidst a sea of Chinese students a blonde girl in a white dress. She is wearing a gold medallion with Egyptian markings. He looks right at her and asks, "Jessie?" She looks back up at him and smiles her beautiful smile. "What are you doing here? I thought you were dead." Her dark eyes flash as she answers, "Oh no, Jimbo, I will always be all right." Cliff's dream. 2 golden lights appear in my mind and I move towards them. I want to be where Jessie is. The golden lights turn red and they turn into many bright red eyes, the eyes of unspeakable beasts. I am terrified. My entire body tenses into painful cramps. I cannot move. And then the thought came, the thought that Jessie Thale was fearless. She rode her horse bareback, no reins, arms raised high towards the sky, laughing in ecstasy. I found then the courage to turn my eyes back to the beasts. They disappeared as my gaze penetrated right through them. I then found myself standing at the bottom of a wide, long stairway inside a very large house. Suddenly I was at the top of the stairs in a big white bedroom. Everything was white. The bed was covered with an embroidery and lace white spread. On the floor was a soft white silk rug. A big white teddy bear sat on a white wicker sofa in the corner. Jessie was standing over by a huge window that covered the entire wall. She was dressed in a white flowing dress, wearing a gold medallion around her neck. She drew back the white lace curtains to show me the view. I was overwhelmed by the colors. Golds, rose, blues, purples, mandarin, oranges. Such vividness I could not comprehend. I had never beheld such radiant beauty. Behind the colors were waterfalls, magnificent waterfalls that went on forever. Fields of verdant, perpetual green meadows. 2 white and 2 dark, frisky young horses played in the fields. I just knew you would be all right, that you were all right. And I knew then that I would be all right, that in the morning I would have the strength to carry your ashes up the hill to your memorial celebration of life. Gita's dream. Jessie was lying down. We were all in the room together, and we all felt so sad. We thought she was going to leave us, or she had already left. I went to her bedside and threw her 3 nice kisses. Jessica Lombardo's dream. We were all in Jessie's house. Jessie walked in. I asked what she was doing because she was dead. She said she never died and was always alive. She smiled, and we went to a gathering of people. Everybody was wearing white dresses. They said people in white were supposed to be baptized, but I was already baptized. Jessie was radiant in white. I leave the dark, clean, cold spring thaw water and walk into the nearby forest. Giant live oaks, beautiful. I look up into the branches. An exquisite old fragment of bark catches my eye. I think it will create a wonderful sculpture. I want it. I find a long stick and begin to poke around the branches, trying to free it so it will fall down onto the ground. I touch the lovely bark and watch as it transforms into the skeleton, the skull from a large blackbird. I free the skull from the dead branches. It falls onto the ground. I look back up to realize I have detached the head from the body. I look up again and become aware that somehow I have disturbed the den of a huge mother mountain lion. The bird skull transforms again now into a baby cougar, who is very frightened and leaps upon my chest, clinging with its tiny claws. The mother cougar leaps down from her home in the tree branches. She's very angry at me. I struggle trying to free her baby. I free him from my chest and throw him onto the ground right in front of her. But she's not interested in him now. She knows she can come back, and he will be waiting there for her. She wants me. I begin to run. I run as fast as I can up a white mountain, mother cougar chasing me. The little cub, confused, thinking I'm its only comfort, leaps back up onto me. I struggle desperately to release his frightened grip, throwing him again onto the ground. The mother continues to chase me. I am so very afraid. I run and run. She gets closer and closer, and now I'm terrified. I realize I cannot outrun her. I cease running and turn to face her, and the moment I stop, she ceases the chase. She comes very close to me and assumes a meditative and compassionate pose. She's very, very still now, meditating, her gaze steady, penetrating deep into my eyes, deep with the eyes of my mother and the eyes of my daughter. What is this angry, wild mother, and why does she chase me? How does she know her child will be there when she returns? And when I do turn to face her, her anger turns to compassion. But what becomes of my anger, my rage? Where is my mother? Where is my daughter? I was washing dirty dishes in the kitchen. I felt angry. Our friend Rosie noticed Jessie was outside. She asked if I would call her in, but Rosie left and I went out to be near Jessie. Cliff and I sat on a blanket with her. We were so happy to be with her. She was so beautiful. We held one another and touched each other. It felt so good, and I knew we had found that time again. She told me she missed playing with my hair. We were holding each other close, and she leaned towards my ear and said, "Will you listen to me? Will you listen to me?" She kept saying it louder and louder, shouting into my face. Cliff came and held me, and Jessie reached up and held his other hand, and then she disappeared, but I knew she was still with us. Now, what does Jessie want me to hear? How do I communicate from my world to hers? What keeps my ear tuned to that word from Spirit? I'm thinking how wonderful it would be if Jessie would come through the door, and I hear her say, "I'm already through the door." I'm working at the office and I think, oh, if only Jessie would come running through the office like she used to. And she says, "I'm running through your heart." I treasured Jessie's old hiking boots and wore them often after her death. Jennifer had borrowed those boots of hers without asking, and I was upset. Jennifer shared her dream with me June 7th, 1994. Jessie came and shook me awake. Georgine was in bed, tossing and turning in dreams next to the stairs. She put her finger to her lips and giggled. She caressed her mother's head and back, and then she hugged me tight. And we flew together over Steve's new mowed lawn. She hugged me more tightly and said, "You can wear my boots anytime." I woke up laughing and feeling tremendous love for TJ. TJ is Jessie's brother. Jennifer was killed in a car accident on her way to TJ's birthday that August. And TJ followed Jennifer and Jessica in death in 2017. I began to worry the world would forget about Jessie. I became terribly upset. I feared maybe I would forget her. That fear became more and more frequent and more upsetting. I became so anxious. I spent one entire night lying awake worrying. And the very next morning, Jessie's friend Hallie knocked on our door. She delivered into my hands a handwritten message from her dream world that night. Her message read, "I had a dream last night. It was winter time. I went out to our friend's house for a party, and all our friends were sitting around talking. Jessie was sitting next to me. I'm not sure if anyone else could see or communicate with her. There was a lull in the conversation, and during that quiet moment, Jessie leaned over towards me and said very clearly, 'No one will ever forget the deceased.'" Now, how did that message of comfort and reassurance find its way to me? How did it get into that world of dreams and then into my physical hands? And how did it arrive at just the perfect moment with the exact words I so needed to hear? This is Maia's dream. Jessica walks towards me. She comes through a doorway with no door, full of light. There are many windows and maybe more doors. She is tanned, radiant light, dressed in a white gown. She wears a gold medallion around her neck. She smiles, and her eyes are clear with joy and wisdom. You can see she laughs inside. Jessie and I sit in my Camaro. It's daylight out, and we sit inside the car. She is untouched. It's many days after the accident. We are assessing the damage to the car. She sits in the passenger seat. Her body shows no sign of being in the accident, but I am bandaged. We are smiling and talking, and she goes about picking up pieces of the car, saying, "Hey, this is still good." And we talk about how much this sucks, and we're waiting for someone to take us somewhere. And Jessie is talking about all the things we can do together, traveling, jobs, and school. She talks about what's going on tonight and how much fun we'll have. I'm excited about all the plans, but become confused and upset. I know I have to tell Jessie that we can't. I am the one who has to tell her she is gone. Jessie was killed upon impact in that accident in Maia's Camaro. Her head rested on her beloved cousin Maia's shoulder. This is Jessie's dream. She did not record the date. I was a whirlwind dancer. I was out dancing in the wind. Suddenly the wind became very strong and carried me far from my tribe. The wind tossed me around. I felt like I was flying. And after a while I became Christine, who I had been before. I realized I was flying by the strength of my very own wings, not the wind. And then I could see myself. I became very happy. I returned to my old home and embraced my father. Now this makes me wonder, this dream of hers, that maybe violent death is violent only to those left behind to view it. Perhaps to the one who dies, it is simply a wondrous flight home. Jesse's nickname was Little Bird. I dream Steve, Cliff, and I are working to restore an old house, and we walk outside. There is a rock and a box. We all pause to look, and out of the box comes a little bird. Its head is skeleton, all bones and no flesh, and a few long bedraggled red feathers hang from its folded, sad, skinny wings. And then from out of its head comes a tiny little bird. She's young and healthy and happy, hopping all around. Will you fly on there, little bird, little wing? My mind and my heart are filled with sadness, with unspeakable grief. I cannot sleep, tossing and turning. The night is dark and awful. I have lost my daughter. I hear voices clear, direct. Look up, Georgine, look up. And I lift my eyes to see above me angels, silvery, shining, filled with light and bringing peace. Look up, look up, look up, their melodic voices chorus. And in that moment, I'm filled with a deep peace and comfort, knowing my daughter is not lost. She is with me always. Jess comes to Cliff early morning in a dream and says, "Tell Mom to look above the door." And she comes again November 6th in a dream and says to him, "You have an angel." And when Cliff looked, he saw a silver figure with deep blue all around. I dream we are watching Aya and Jess out the window. They put up a huge poster on a wall. On it, a black and white silhouette, a scissor cut of Jessie with her hair pinned up, like the Valentines and love letters. Beneath her image was written a slogan, "Throw this girl a kiss." And the children are singing sweet songs to me, and Cliff is there, and it was all so very precious. Sarah Wilkie's dream. My mom was standing before me. She was wearing a twirling skirt, mismatched socks. Her hand was outstretched and waiting. I watched as Jessie appeared, took my mom's hand, and they walked away together, smiling. Sarah's mother, Rosemary, was a very close family friend, and Rosemary died in a car accident on our Canopy Road several years before Jessie. I dream Cliff and I are getting married, and Jessie is the maid of honor. I'm a bit worried she won't like her bridesmaid's dress. It's metallic, gold and white, but she loves it. And we are all standing happy at the altar before God's table, a sacred place for sacrifices and for our gifts, creating each our own altars within. Facing east in Lake Michigan, I'm flying home. It's night, and I'm flying low, and decide to touch down on a dock so I can kick off to increase my speed and altitude. The moment my foot touches the wooden dock, I hear singing. I look to see an old wooden door. I open the door, and inside are people, eagle people. They are worshiping, singing, eagle dancing. They are my people. I am home.